Welcome guys, this is Rachel. We're going to be doing a 60-minute deep stretch. You might want a blanket and a block. We're talking about tapas this week. So tapas is translated a lot of different ways. The first one is heat. So in a deep stretch class, we won't necessarily be building heat, but the other translation is discipline. So maybe thinking about where you can be disciplined in your poses, or where maybe this week you can bring back some of those levels of discipline. I did goal setting at the beginning of the year, which now seems hilarious in this moment in time, but maybe picking things that are attainable and that bring you joy, and it's not discipline to punish yourself, but discipline to stay on track for something that's important to you. We're going to get started in child's pose. So if you want a blanket for under the knees, that might be good, or you can roll it up if you know you have issues. It always hurts my ankles when I'm in it for a long time, so you can roll it up and place it between your ankles and your hips. So knees will go as wide as your mat, mainly just wider than the hips. I'll show the option with the rolled blanket. Palms will push out in front of you. If the forehead doesn't reach the floor, maybe bringing a block under the forehead. And we'll just be here for a few moments together to ground into the space, knowing that you can always move out of this posture if it becomes uncomfortable. Maybe taking a deep inhale in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out, push hips further back towards the heels. Let something go as we settle in. In deep stretch, we'll be in poses for longer. I'll try to call it halfway through, so you can make adjustments for yourself. But know that you can go to those places without my suggestions. Feel that belly fill up. Maybe on an exhale, pushing back a little bit deeper. If you've noticed your breath feels trapped somewhere, maybe backing out, you can come to the forearms. Or if you need to go further, pushing hands into the mat, hips go back a little bit. Finding a deeper version of child's pose. We'll take about 5 more rounds of breath here. Maybe for these last couple rounds of breath, if it's available to you, maybe bending the elbows, bringing the thumbs to the upper back. You might find more of a stretch if you start to walk the elbows a little bit forward. Heart reaches towards the floor. Take about 3 breaths in that posture if it's comfortable, or maybe you tried it and it doesn't work for you. You can always let that go. Deep inhale in, full exhale out. Start to extend those arms out long again. We're going to take this into a lateral stretch here. So I like to walk that left, let's start with the left hand outside the left knee, right hand maybe off of the mat. Those fingertips can tent up. Or if you prefer to stack the hands over one another, maybe taking that. You should feel a side stretch through that whole right side body. We'll be here for 5 breaths. Deep inhale in, full exhale out, going deeper on your own or backing out on your own. And then walking those hands back through center, maybe rolling the forehead on the mat before going to the other side. And we'll walk those hands off the right side, seeing what you liked hand placement wise. Maybe that right hand's outside the right knee. Maybe it's stacked underneath the left hand, but then pushing those hips, thinking about the left hip going towards the left heel. It might be a micro, very tiny movement, but feeling the stretch. Left side body, 5 breaths. And inhale, coming back through center, taking any wiggles here, maybe moving the hips from side to side, but then we'll push up into tabletop pose. So knees were as wide as the mat, bring them underneath the hips, hands come under the shoulders, move into some gentle cat-cow movements. So that belly drops. If you're pregnant, maybe just pull those shoulders through. And then rounding into that upper back for cow, or for cat rather. Chin drops towards the chest. Take a few rounds of this on your own with your own breath. Maybe you tuck the toes and push the hips all the way back. Taking a few rounds of whatever your body needs. And then adding in some side bends here. So gazing over, we'll do this from a neutral position, gazing over that right shoulder, looking at the right toes, and then left, almost like you're looking at your little cat tail. Take a couple rounds of this. And then if you would like to combine those movements, you can start looking towards the right, round into the back, towards the left. It's kind of like a barrel roll. It doesn't have to look perfect. Just make some space. And then do a couple in one direction and a couple in the other. While we're here, we'll do a gentle wrist stretch. So Gonna flip the fingertips towards the knees, the back of the palm on the right hand. We'll do one hand at a time, resting on the mat, and just gently massage into the top of that wrist. You can lean back, forward, and then shaking that hand out, we'll switch sides. Left fingertips towards the knee, back of the palm towards on the floor. Just gently sending some movement to that wrist. And we're going to come into a seat for our first longer hold pose. It's called deer. You might want a blanket under the hips, potentially. We're going to bring the right leg in front of us. Doesn't have to be parallel. And then that left leg is going to go behind us, and the degree at which it goes back is up to you. You might find it pinches if it's too far back, so maybe walk that leg in. We're just going to take some movements forward and back first. So just leaning, as you lean back, that right knee might lift up. As you lean forward, that left glute might come off the mat. So take a couple rounds to kind of figure out where your happy place is with this. And this will also help you to find a more neutral spot. So as you find that neutral position, we'll lift up tall, and then maybe something to fold forward onto. We won't be here for terribly long, but folding forward over that front leg. For me, I can go about an inch. And that is totally okay. You might stay there for a few breaths and then find something release and allow you to go further. Or it might cause pain. That's your cue to back out. Be here for a little while together. I'll check in shortly. About halfway through this side, making any adjustments. Maybe you find that that back leg might have more space to move back. Maybe that front leg can move forward. Maybe you can bend forward more. We'll take about 10 more breaths on this side. Deep inhale in, full exhale out. See if you can soften your jaw maybe, or your toes. And then slowly start to come up, stacking shoulders as well as you can over those hips. We're just gonna do some movement here with the arms before the other side. So planting that right hand outside of the right hip. We're just gonna sweep that arm over and around, maybe taking a little side bend and sweeping it back. So really circling that shoulder more than anything. more on this side. Just sweeping, pausing. And then we'll bring that back leg more towards the front leg, and we're going to take some windshield wipers to switch. So bring feet more into alignment with one another, leaning back to make some space, just gently dropping one knee towards the center of the mat, and then the other. I feel this most on the outer hip of the knee that's in towards the center. And then we'll end with the left knee in the front, so left knee down. And then that right leg, again, can walk back behind you to that place that feels comfortable. And we'll take those lean forwards and back. So leaning back, that left knee lifts a little. Leaning forward, that right glute comes up. Reaching that chest forward. Take a few rounds of this. And then pausing in more of a neutral place, lifting that crown tall, maybe grabbing something to fold forward onto, leaning forward. I'll check in shortly, using the knowledge from the previous side to make any adjustments. And always coming back to your breath if you feel yourself drifting or getting distracted. Totally normal, but use the breath as your guide. About halfway through, we'll take 10 more rounds of breath here, making any adjustments you might need, folding a little bit more forward, adjusting the legs, softening the jaw. Deep inhale in, full exhale out, start to slowly walk up, stacking shoulders. And we'll just take those gentle arm circles, so planting that left hand, leaning into it, opening the chest and that arm, and then reversing, almost like you're drawing a circle around yourself or on the ceiling. Take about 1 to 2 more. And then we'll slowly start to help that back leg a little bit more forward and take those windshield wipers again. This time we'll pause, do a little outer hip stretch. So do a couple moving. And then we'll drop knees to the right. And the right foot, you can stay here, this is perfect. Or if you need a little more, the right outer foot can come to the left knee to help it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that top foot will act as a weight to help the knee towards the ground. And then lifting that foot will go to the other side, so maybe a few little ones. Knees drop to the left, staying here, or picking up that left foot. This one's a little bit more tough for me, bringing it to the top of the right knee. Couple breaths here. And inhaling through center, we're going to bring soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. So also known as butterfly pose, knees out to the side. The adjustment of the feet is up to you. Further away might be more of a low back stretch. Closer in might be more of a hip stretch. So make that choice for yourself and you can always adjust. Lifting up tall. Exhale, folding forward. You don't have to rest on anything here. We won't be here for terribly long, but seeing if you can engage the glutes to bring the knees closer to the floor, that might feel good. Soften the jaw, the toes. You can bring a block maybe in between your feet if you do feel like you need a place for your head to rest. About halfway through, if you want to take an inhale, maybe come out halfway, see how that feels, and then exhale, maybe get a little bit deeper on that fold, or stay exactly where you are. Sometimes with this concept of tapas, we equate it with doing and getting a bunch of things done, or in a vinyasa class, it's that building of heat, but sometimes the greatest discipline can just being still and challenging more the mental capacity versus our physical capacity. Two more breaths. Slowly start to stack shoulders over hips. I'm going to do a little bit more forward folding here, extending that right leg out long. That left foot's going to come into the upper thigh, and we're going to twist towards that foot for Janu Shirshasana. So again, you might find a block helpful here, maybe a blanket under the knee if you have really tight hamstrings. We'll lift up tall. You can bring that right hand outside the right hip as kind of a little lean, a place to lean into or from. Folding over the leg. And I would suggest if you are pregnant to fold forward versus towards the leg. Thinking about that left rib cage going towards the floor. Should feel like a slight twist here. Breathing in, breathing out, checking in with where the thoughts go, bringing them back to the breath. About halfway, well, not halfway through. Let's do about 10 more breaths in this fold, making any adjustments that you need. Maybe that means backing out. Slowly start to walk hands back in, stacking shoulders over hips. And then we're going to take a little counter twist, right hand to the left knee, left hand behind you. Gaze can follow the hand or maybe stay more forward, just lifting up tall. If you want an extra stretch, you can lean onto that front knee and kind of make that arm circle that we did to stretch the front hip. See if that feels good, or just take the gentle twist. And then coming back down and then making your way through center, we'll switch out those legs. Left leg goes long, right leg or right foot into that left thigh. Setting up any of those props, so blanket under the knee, turning towards the left foot, exhale, folding over, or if you're pregnant, folding more towards that right leg. Notice if you're gripping anywhere, maybe the breath is gripping or stuck, or maybe you're holding tension. See if you can scan the body for those places with the attempt of letting them go. It's a lot easier said than done. We'll take about 10 more breaths on this side, so checking in with any adjustments you might need to make. Slowly start to walk those hands back in towards the body, lifting the chest up, and then taking that either gentle counter twist, left hand to right knee, right hand behind you, or if you want to lift those hips, stretch a little bit. Take about 2 to 3 breaths wherever you are. And then lowering the hips if they're lifted. If you're taking the twist, coming back towards center. We're going to set up for our peak pose. It's kind of a lead up to the peak pose, which is fire log or double pigeon, because, you know, one pigeon's not good enough. We need 2 pigeons. We're going to come into it from a little bit different of a stance, and this will also be kind of an alternative option if double pigeon is not in your practice. But we're going to plant the left foot on the ground, and then that right ankle is going to come to the left knee for reclined, not even reclined. We're in a supported figure 4. So let's just stay here for a few breaths. That right knee will go towards the floor. If this is too much, you can extend that left leg straight. We'll just be here. A few breaths, maybe rocking from side to side. And then, should have mentioned, but if your blanket and or block are nearby, or if they're not nearby, maybe get them a little closer. You might want them for phase 2. So might test this out. You can always come back to this or lean on your back. We're going to walk that left foot over to the right. And as we do, oh, this side is rough for me, you guys. The adjustment is that top foot can come more towards that crook of the knee instead of on top of the knee. And then to fill in this space, maybe you have a blanket. Maybe you fold it up a lot. Should feel this in the outer top hip the most. We'll just stay here for a few breaths. This might be great. And again, if this is too much, you can go back to that figure 4. The next phase would be to fold forward. So if you think you need more, the more you fold forward, that right knee will naturally start to come closer to the left foot. So maybe you fold forward. Maybe you stay stacked. Maybe you go back to figure 4. You're here for about 30 more seconds. Notice if your jaw is holding tension. See maybe if wiggling it from side to side helps. Take a deep inhale in. Full exhale out. See if you can soften the glutes just a little bit. And slowly start to stack shoulders over hips. We'll come out of this as gently as possible. I like to grab that top leg and hug it in, and then extend the other one. And then we'll just shake those legs out before we go to the other side, maybe bending. Then we'll plant the right foot on the ground, starting from that figure 4 position. And that left foot on top, keeping that left foot flexed. Maybe you rock from side to side. Maybe this side feels different, better, worse. No judgment either way. And then we'll slowly start to walk that right foot to the left. And then notice where that top foot needs to go. Does it need to come in more towards the crook versus on top? And then you set up those props, lifting up tall, staying here. If you know that the folding forward worked for you, feel free to go there, or stay with that head reaching towards the ceiling, whatever works for you. I'll check in about a minute. About 30 more seconds here. So taking inventory of if you've tensed up anywhere, see if you can send an exhale to that place, maybe wiggling the jaw, softening the forehead. And then slowly start to stack shoulders over hips. If you lean forward, moving any props out of the way, hugging that top leg, extending the bottom, and then maybe bending into those legs a little bit. We're going to make our way to our back for the remainder of our poses. So taking, maybe if you have that block, blanket, bringing them alongside you. Gonna lower whatever way's easiest for you. Coming into knees bent to start. We're gonna do a little neck stretch on the block. So if you don't have a block, that's totally okay. You'll just rock your head from side to side. I like this on the second highest height. You can also do flattest, but you'll find that place where your neck bends naturally. If you have any neck injuries, I would recommend not doing this. And then chin tucks towards the chest. And you'll just give yourself a little gentle massage here on the block. I'm gonna come closer, see how everyone's doing. And if, yeah, so you want this and then pausing in any spots that feel extra sticky, tight, maybe moving the jaw as well. And then slowly coming back towards center, we're gonna move into supported bridge. So those feet will plant on the ground. And if you don't have a block, you can fold up a blanket, you can rest on a book, might wanna cover it, but we'll lift those hips, maybe starting with the flattest height of the block. And we'll work our way up. It'll go on the sacrum, long ways, or short ways rather. Almost like you could make a capital T with the spine. So the spine bisects that block. Knees point towards the ceiling. Not splaying out or hugging in, but really engaging through those feet to keep the knees pointed high. We'll be here for about a minute or so, and then I'll give some options for where we can move. You can also do this on a bolster instead of a block. Might be a little softer. Just have to find the right placement for that. So check in with how this feels. See if you're able to bring the jaw, if the jaw is tucked in towards the chest, maybe lengthening out the back of the head a little bit. You can bring arms up overhead, grabbing opposite elbows to open those shoulders. And we'll hug. If you want to stay where you are, stay exactly where you are, or you can start to hug one knee in towards the chest and just make some gentle circles while propped up on your block. And if you don't have a block, I'm showing this from the ground, so you can always move those props out of the way and do this flat on the earth. Circles in one direction with the knee and then the other. And then we'll plant that foot down, switching sides, left knee in towards the left hand. Just some gentle circles. And then planting that foot down, option here to move into legs in the air. So you might have to adjust forward or backward on your prop, but feet will reach towards the sky. You can also hold the backs of the legs if you need some assistance. Also lovely to do at a wall. And if the block is too much in this pose, always feel like you can lower down, maybe switching out for a blanket. And again, those arms might come overhead, grabbing opposite elbows. We'll be here for a couple minutes. Maybe circling the ankles. One thing, it's a little bit more of an active posture. You won't be as relaxing, but to strengthen the ankles, you can write the alphabet out with your feet. So capital letters, maybe draw the alphabet on the sky. Mirroring, the feet will do the same thing. About 10 more breaths. And then slowly start to plant one foot at a time back to the earth, pausing in the original supported bridge pose, seeing if it feels different. And then lifting maybe up to the tiptoes, moving your prop out of the way, lifting the hips off of the prop, and then rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Feet go as wide as the mat, knees will tent in towards one another for constructive rest. Arms can come out to a cactus, maybe alongside you. If, like me, there's a lot of space in between the knees when they come together, maybe bridging that gap with a block. Should feel your low back release. Maybe leaning the pelvis forward and back to see where it feels good to hold the weight. And then finding a place where you can settle for about 10 more breaths. And then slowly start to move the arms. If you had the block, move that out of the way. Feet will come back more towards the center. We're going to take a supine twist. So this is up to you how you want to get there. First option is maybe the shins come parallel to the earth. We'll drop over to the left. You can also cross that right knee over the left knee and drop over to the left. Or any other variation of a twist that sounds good. And if you're pregnant, maybe not taking the full twist, maybe just dropping knees or laying on your side. That left hand can come to the top of the right knee to kind of encourage it down. Maybe the right arm's extended long. Settling in for a couple minutes. Take a deep inhale in. See if you can go a little further, maybe just change the pose for the second half of this side. Knees can come closer to the face. Maybe that right arm bends or extends a little bit more energetically. Settle back in and come back to your breath. Deep inhale in, full exhale out. Start to slowly come out of the side. Stacking knees, if you took that leg over the knee, uncrossing it. Maybe wiggling those knees from side to side. And moving to that other side, you can take some circles. Knees will go to the right. Maybe that left knee comes over the right knee. Right hand can come to the left knee, left arm long, or wherever is comfortable. I'll check in shortly. Check in with where you are on this side. Maybe knees come closer to the face. Maybe that left arm extends a little bit more energetically. About 30 more seconds here. Deep inhale in, full exhale out. Start to come back to center, stacking those legs, maybe making some circles with the low back. And then setting up for your final resting posture, Shavasana, whatever that looks like. And if you need any other poses before moving there, please feel free to take them. Extend right leg to the right corner of the mat, left leg to the left corner. You can also take legs up the wall, lay on your belly. Whenever you arrive in that posture, take a deep inhale in through the nose. Exhale, side out the mouth. Let something go. We'll be in silence for about 4 minutes. So let your mind focus on the breath. Slowly and gently start to bring your awareness back to your physical space. Maybe even picturing it in your mind's eye with your eyes still closed. And bringing smaller, subtle movements to the fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Maybe taking a full body stretch. You can hug knees into the chest, giving yourself a big grateful squeeze, thanking yourself for making it to your mat today. And then if it feels good to tip over to one side doing that, or you can rock and roll directly up to a cross-legged seated posture, whatever is the path of least resistance. We'll all meet in that cross-legged seated posture. Hands can be on the thighs to start, lifting that crown tall. And then bringing hands to heart center, bowing chin towards chest, thanking yourself and those who practiced in community with you today. Namaste in its simplest form means the light in me honors and acknowledges the light within each of you. Bowing forward to seal your practice. Namaste.